E360 TV proudly presents messages of inspirational stories. Live streaming now to millions of devices, including Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, with your host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Jim Grant, producer and host, along with Michaela Vidal, administrator and host, and Gaia Guinois Balconi Wada, editor-in-chief. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you see me giggling, we had some technical issues. We were unable to communicate. I say that in good humor because I was waiting for Emerson to come on because Donna has got a lot of noise at her place there because they're replacing the roof. And it's a huge job, and all the banging with the hammers and all that. It's about to drive poor Donna out of her mind. So I told her, don't worry about it. Me and Emerson, that's two old dog lovers. We can carry the show. And Emerson, welcome to the show, my man. How are you today?
Hey, wasn't sure we make it. Yeah. Ain't technology grand?
Yeah, especially when it doesn't work. Oh, my goodness. Kicking off today, June 9th, it's really amazing what a wonderful time that we're having in this country and around the world, because right now is a time for all of us to give thanks for what we have, to be grateful for what we have, because there's no one on planet Earth that can bring happiness to your mind except you.
That's it.
I know that sounds a little, goofy and all that, but, today, ladies and gentlemen, is National Donald Duck Day.
That's just quackers, Jim.
Yeah, that's just quackers. And it's just amazing me what the day it is. Also, today is the National Strawberry and Rhubarb Pie Day.
No, you're talking my language.
Yeah. And I don't know if I should say this on the air, but on June the 9th, they got listed an appreciation, fun, and lifestyles relationship. It's called, I'll just say it, it's the National Sex Day. I did not come up with that. And anyway, I'm going to leave that right there.
Any particular kind of sex?
Well, I belong to the male sex. And I'm going to leave that right there. It's, I'm not going to say anything to make myself turn red or blush.
Moving right along, Jim.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Let me get my other glasses on here so I can see what to say in those things. It really is a blessing for all the things that we have in our life. And every single time something may go away, there's always a greater door of opportunity that opens, and that happened to us today, to be honest with you. But the point of it is when something goes away and something you've been working on or something like that, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. It just means that was not the perfect place for you. And the energy has already led us into another direction, which also is bigger and greater than what we were working on in the past. And I can say that because I know that to be true. And, Emerson, it's just a wonderful thing because we should have the attitude of a dog, shouldn't we?
Oh. Let me become the person my dog thinks I am.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
I mean, have you ever known I don't know if I know dogs have health problems and all of that. And they got the same kind of health problems as humans have, but they don't have except for the food that they're fed, I believe is what brings on a lot of it. But you don't hear of a dog having migraines or, ulcers or anything like that. Have you ever heard of a dog having ulcers? I haven't.
No, but you'd probably be cranky too if all you got to eat were kibbles and dips,
I shouldn't have taken a swig of iced tea when he said that because kibbles and bits. You know, talking about dogs and how what a wonderful companion they are in our life. But what really we wanted to cover, and I wanted to share some things. Emerson and I both wanted to share some things. It's just amazing how dogs rise to the occasion to protect their pack.
Yes.
And again, I've known people who train dogs, and I've been told this. You know, you'd have the dog sit when you open up the door. You go out first, then you make the dog come out. And I don't remember how I came about the knowledge, but the truth of it is that is 100% backwards because the dog's DNA is to go out first to protect you because you are a very important member of their pack. Without you, they lose their pack. That's the way they look at it. And so, you know, my dog wanted to go out first. I'd let him, And I remember when we'd come home or something, the dog would be outside, and all of a sudden, the car comes up and he jumps up and he runs out in the backyard, just to scare away anything, which there's nothing there to scare away, really. I mean, we have squirrels in our yards and occasional rabbits. We'll see a fox every now and then living out in the country.
Yeah, but you live in Texas, Jim. The squirrels in Texas are a lot bigger.
Oh, that's just, we have the little plain old brown squirrels, with the white bellies, and all that. And they're cute little guys. They're very, very smart. They love bird seed. I can tell you that because in our bird feeders, we feed them the black sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds. Yeah. That's when they'll sit there and pick them out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so will the birds. I mean, that's what the birds like because the regular wild bird seed, you get all those little orange, little tiny balls. Those are the ones I always found at the bottom on the ground. I'm going like, I'm not eating those. So I switched from that to the sunflower seed.
What's interesting is there are an awful lot of those small ones are hemp seeds. Yeah. And
I did not know that.
I had a funny situation. I had a nephew that had a planter, had a bird feeder outside of his window, and it was a split level house. And so the birds would come and eat, and a lot of the seeds would drop down.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up having a whole lot of funny looking little plants growing down there.
Is that right? I did not know that.
It's supposed to be all irradiated where it doesn't grow or whatever, but he had a whole bunch of funny little plants. And it was like, it's the bird seed. That's what it is.
Yeah. I did not know that. And Emerson, in talking about dogs, there's a story that goes back to 9/11 I wanted to share. During September 11th, 2001, when the World Trade Centers got hit, and we know that we lost both of those buildings and thousands of people, Michael Hingson, Hingson, he had his guide dog with him. Start saying guard and guide at the same time. That's what they are. But his guide dog for the blind with him, and her name was Roselle. And he was working on the 78th floor of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center when the plane struck.
Wow.
Roselle guided him through the building and down the stairway.
Oh, wow.
1,463 steps to safety. This little yellow Labrador retriever led him through the choking smoke and chaos and away from the building just before it collapsed.
Can you imagine being sightless, sight impaired, and trying to find your way out in the midst of all of the confusion and the smoke and the noise and the panic and everything else, to have the companion that's helping to guide you to safety. I personally had friends and people that I knew that were lost in that attack. And in one in particular, I spent quite a few hours trying to reach on the telephone that day. And the cellular system was down. The trains were down. It was 17 or 18 hours, I think, before he finally got back home to his home in Long Island. He hadn't been able to call his wife. He hadn't been able to do anything. It was just
chaos.
It's a day that will, those of us who remember the day, just like the explosion of Challenger.
Yes, 86.
I can tell you exactly where I was at. I can tell you that morning.
That was February of 68, wasn't it? I mean, February 86, right?
86. I can tell you where I was at. I can walk. I walked outside and I saw, because from where I'm at, you can actually see many of the launches. And the launch took place, and I went and saw it, and I saw the launch go up and do this, and I knew instinctively there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And it was another 10 minutes or more before the media finally reported. They were watching it, but even they weren't
sure what was going on. What they say?
Yeah, because this is quite a few miles up in the atmosphere, and they're focusing their cameras on it, trying to follow it and everything else. And the same is true for the Twin Towers. I can tell you exactly where I was at. What I was doing that morning.
I can too. I was at Fort Gordon, Georgia. I was still in military there, and we were down there for our 2 week, actually 3 weeks for us. We were down there for 3 weeks during annual training, and me and the commander, we had walked into this building. We had to go see this one guy, POC, point of contact. We walked in and we saw these people gathered around this TV set.
Yeah.
And this one lady was crying, and we're looking at everything. And it just so happened that second plane crashed into that second tower.
It wasn't until the second plane that we realized, wait a minute, this wasn't just a freak accident.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Carr looked at me and I looked at him, and he says, "Is this real?" And I says, "I don't know," because we had just walked in cold turkey, and this lady was sitting there. She was crying. The A-Team, huh? I know who that sound is. Yep. Anyway, a VIP there in his life. But anyway, oh yeah, don't worry about that. That's small time. But anyway, I remember that, and it was just so shocking and so numbing. And then everything.
It was unreal. It was unreal. And the reality didn't really set in until the second plane hit.
Yeah.
That what we witnessed or were witnessing wasn't just a horrible accident.
Right. And people were just shocked. I mean, everywhere, not only there in New York, but, anybody in front of a TV would kind of like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just unheard of. And, like you say, the first one you're thinking, how could a plane hit one of the Twin Towers? I mean, my goodness. But it happened, and, then everything changed. Everything changed in New York. There was a lockdown everywhere. The whole world changed. But in the process, think about this little dog. Chances are that little dog rode the elevator every day up to, what was it, the 78th floor, I think it was? Let me get back over here to my notes. Yeah, 78th floor of Tower 1. But in that hour of need, that little Labrador retriever knew exactly how to get Michael out of that building, led him down 1,463 steps through the smoke, all the chaos going on, my goodness gracious, and he got out of there before the building collapsed. Now, I tell you right now, Emerson, that dog deserves a medal. I think Emerson just he's been having a problem with the internet there. So anyway, we're going to drive on. But yeah, you think about, what that dog did for its master. It didn't run scared. It would not leave his master behind. And that's one thing about dogs that we all could take a lesson from. You never leave a friend behind. You never forget who took you to the party, who's been kind to you, who has helped you in your hour of need. who's honest with you. You know, that's what you need to focus on, and be sure include those people in your life. You see there on the marquee, our charity we promote is the sheltertosoldier.org. That's where soldiers can receive a dog free of charge from this. They go into animal shelters and they take dogs that's not normally high on the list for being an option, big dogs. They train them, and they train them how to detect, you know, PTSD and things like that nature. When a soldier comes in, it's got PTSD, they bring in 2 or 3 dogs that fit his profile. And Emerson's back with us.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm talking about Shelter to Soldier. And they bring the soldier, and it fits the, you know, the dogs that fit his profile, and they just let the dogs and the individual select one another. Because the dogs, as Emerson's pointed out recently on a couple of shows, dogs read us better than we read ourselves. Yeah. Oh, and they know whether or not that's a soulmate that they can relate to and help. And the good news of it is, even though we lose 22 soldiers a day on the average for suicide, as horrible as that is, at least this little organization here, there's not been one person lost their life, or took their life, I should say, that received a dog. So when you consider a function like this here, or having dogs that are seeing eye dogs for the blind, or any other reason that you may think of, this may inspire you to be able to get involved with your local animal shelter, to maybe start a program, because there's a lot of things you can do there with the animal shelters. You can volunteer to help clean up. I mean, they need good, you know, labor too. You know, I mean, really, you know.
Take a bag of food.
Yeah, take a bag of food. You may not have much money, but you certainly can, you know, work a little bit. It's not real hard, you know, I mean, but the point of it is giving back, because dogs give us so much. And if you give a dog an opportunity, he'll take you to a new level. I'll say that. Now, cats, if you give them an opportunity, they will take you down a notch or two, because you live with, cats have staff. That's right. And I don't know if your signal is frozen or not, but we're going to go ahead and drive on, Emerson. If you have to kick out, kick back on, that'd be fine. No biggie. But there's a lady by the name of Katie Vaughn, and she has, she's paraplegia, and she was trapped in her van when it caught fire and was unable to assemble her wheelchair and get it out. She had a 104-pound dog. It was a Rottweiler named Eve, who grabbed her by the leg and pulled her to safety before the van exploded. And the dog Eve suffered burns on her paws, but Mrs. Vaughn, Katie Vaughn, was unharmed. And this story is coming directly from the American Kennel Club. And the point being, ladies and gentlemen, is that whenever danger is near and danger threatens a member of their pack, especially the one that they bonded to, dogs immediately jump into action, and they'll do whatever they possibly can to save that person's life. And that's really amazing, because, you know, dogs just don't have that fight or flight response like we do as humans, because courage is something that you cannot teach. You've either got it or you haven't. It's that simple. And when it comes to courage and dogs going the extra mile and being able to, you know, risk their life for their loved ones, or for I call it loved ones because they do love you, they don't even hesitate about that. And it's just amazing. Think about how these people felt about their dogs after that, especially Michael Henson, who his dog led him down those 1,463 steps before the first tower collapsed through all the smoke and chaos. And this lady here, you know, trapped in a van, it caught fire, and the dog, you know, pulled her out, even though the dog's paws got burned, which is very sensitive to the dog, but she was unharmed. And but on the American Kennel Club, it talks about, they wanted to name one of the history's most heroic animals by Time magazine. And the dog's name was Trakr. Now, if you know how to pronounce that, you are ahead of me. But the dog itself is a German Shepherd who, along with his handler, dug through the debris at the World Trade Center and located the last survivor of the 9/11 attack. And that's very important. It really is, because, you know, you think about how dogs are used to be able to, you know, save someone, to help someone in an hour of need, and to find a survivor under all that debris. That would be an hour of need. And that's why we need to appreciate our dogs and show them the unconditional love that they do us. And we should take a lesson from our dogs to be able to love ourselves so we can love others and give others unconditional love. And if it's not received, or if they don't want any part of you or whatever, that's okay. Love them anyway, but let them go. And hopefully Emerson will be back with us. I want to go ahead and continue on, because if you have any good stories about a dog or anything like that, something that you've experienced in your family, please email us at inspirationd360tv.com. We'll be more than happy to mention that on the next time we come on TV. And oh my goodness, I wish Donna was here. She would love this story here about a Great Pyrenees, because she's got a Great Pyrenees, Jake, and I think he's 4 foot long or something like that. But this dog's name is Duke. Now, he may not exactly be a hero, but he's undoubtedly a celebrated in his hometown of Cormorant, Minnesota. Did I mispronounce that correctly? It's Cormorant, Minnesota, where he serves as mayor. Donna would laugh at that. She says, now that shows a sign of intelligence. That's a politician that cannot lie. Oh my! I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting this from the American Kennel Club. He's a Great Pyrenees, Duke. He's the mayor of that town, and he's won the votes of almost 1,000 residents and has served 3 consecutive terms. Oh my goodness. I wish Donna was here. She would love that. I got to tell her about that. We're going to do the show tomorrow. I'm going to tell her about that, because she will get a kick out of that, because her dog Jake is a Great Pyrenees. We got to tell you a little story here about a miniature schnauzer named Danny. He probably saved the life of Beth Bennett when Beth fell and broke her femur and lost consciousness. Danny was a trained service dog who had cared for Bennett's mother, and he seemed to know exactly what to do. The first thing Danny did was lick Bennett's face until she regained consciousness. Then he knocked over the phone and nudged it towards her. Knowing her front door was locked, she told Danny to bring her some paper. Miraculously or cleverly, or whatever you want to call it, among the 5 pieces of paper he brought her was one of the ones with the neighbor's phone number on it. And she was able to call both 911 and the neighbors to unlock the door before paramedics arrived, thanks to Danny, a little miniature schnauzer. And when we think about the way dogs come into our lives and the way they're so eagerly there to help us in our hour of need, and what's really shocking, Emerson, I shared a story. I got to tell you real quickly since you missed it. There's a Great Pyrenees up in Minnesota, the hometown of Cormorant. I can't pronounce that right, but Cormorant, Minnesota. And you know what he does?
I'm sure one of our viewers will
oh yeah,
do the corrections necessary.
Oh yeah. Well,
send in your videos and let him know how to do
it. Yeah, I've got a degree in mispronouncing words. The first time, no problem. But anyway, this dog is a Great Pyrenees. His name is Duke, and you know what he does in that town? Do you know, Emerson?
He dukes it out?
No, he's a mayor. Of 1,000 residents, he's been elected 3 consecutive terms And like I told the audience, I mean, the great
That's a
thing
very
about
humble dog. You know, he could have been an Instagram star, but he chose to be the mayor of a small town.
and I was telling him how, that's one politician that cannot lie. And then we just finished up on the story about the miniature schnauzer Danny, who probably saved the life of Beth Bennett, and she fell and broke her femur, and the dog was trained to be a service dog for Bennett's mother, and she was unconscious. First thing he did was lick her face to bring her back to consciousness. Then she told him what to do, and he understood. He went and got some 5 pieces of paper that she wanted. And one was the neighbor's phone number on it. And she was able to call 911 and then call the neighbor to come over and unlock the doors so the paramedics could get in. So that was just, and the beauty of it is, Danny had never did that before. There was no training for something like that. It was just came out. And I think that's something that dogs have in their DNA. I really do.
And I have to interject something here.
Sure.
And I've obviously during the pandemic, not quite as much, but I have traveled. I've spoken all over this country, the continent, internationally. But I've had more than one opportunity where I've sat next to people who had some type of service animal or comfort animal. And I was a little bit distressed, and there are people who have used that.
Yes.
I mean, let's just be honest. But I was walking into a place here just last week, and they allowed service animals, but they made a distinction for comfort animals. And I wasn't able to talk with the person who was in charge. I wanted to, because a true comfort animal, a true service or comfort animal is something that is a life changer for the person.
It's something that's needed.
It's needed. It's something that is there. I had a friend of mine, and I'm speaking obviously to people who have veterans, who are veterans or who have vets, in your family relationships. I had a friend of mine, and my oldest and longest friend, going back to the 60s, and he had 5 tours in Iraq. And I remember so much him coming over to our house, and we had a couple of drinks, and he broke down and was just crying. He was so scared. He was so scared. He was so scared. He was so scared. To not recognize the value that a comfort animal has to somebody that is trapped in that is cruel. I mean, we have to recognize dogs are unique and special animals.
Yes.
They connect on levels that no other domesticated animal has ever connected with us. And they sense us, and they can comfort, and they can solve issues for us. They can help a child who's having low blood sugar at 2 a.m. They'll wake them up so that they are able to get some sugar, or if they're having high blood sugar, so they can have insulin. If you're having heart issues, you may not even be aware of it, but they're aware of it. They're sensing chemistry. They're sensing you. They're sensing your face from across a room, and they do it better than we do it ourselves, and they are there for us.
I mean, you're exactly right.
They're amazing, 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 amazing creatures.
Yeah. And I know people abuse the thing on service dogs or comfort dogs or whatever, but personally, if I get on an airplane and someone's got a dog there and it's comfort dog or whatever, I don't care. I may ask them if, is it okay if I pet the dog? Because I do know in certain situations when a dog is on duty, whether it's a service dog or comfort dog, you do not touch them.
Yeah. It's not about, they're not a pet. They're not a pet.
Yeah. They're trained to do a specific function for that person. And if you reach down to pet them or something like that, you're interrupting the mission. It's not
best,
appreciated, especially
the
by
best
the
thing to do
person.
is to not interact in that way at all.
Yeah.
The next best thing to do is to ask permission.
Yes.
Ask permission. Is it
Mm-hmm.
okay if I hold my hand down? And often, and not to pet them necessarily.
Yeah,
Often, what they will do is they will lick your hand, and they will see that you're okay, and they're okay, and that's it. That's the end of the interaction.
That's all they need from you.
But it's not about you.
Right.
It's not about you. It's about them and their pack, and their pack is right there with them, and that's all they are focused on at that moment.
You know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, or maybe the day before, Emerson. I don't remember, but you know, we all know how reliable a dog's sense of smell is, as dogs are often used to detect drugs, bombs, anything like that.
Cadavers.
Oh yeah.
Are living people in rubble after an earthquake, or after a tsunami, or some horrible tornado. Dogs shave the minutes and the hours off of finding people,
yes,
and saving lives. And there's no telling how many tens or hundreds of thousands of lives a year are saved because of them. And that's specialized. That's not just specialized training. That's training that is tapping into their innate senses.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that. Yeah, because I remember seeing a video years ago. I think it was on YouTube. I'm not sure. But anyway, there was an earthquake and a lot of rubble. And the guys were over there, and they're picking up trash and debris and throwing it left and right, trying to look. And this dog came up. Now, this is just an average-looking dog. And the dog started barking and barking and barking and barking. And the guys started paying attention. It went over there, and they started pulling back some debris. And in there was a little baby. And they were able to save the baby's life. But that
they
dog,
could have spent hours and hours and hours.
They could have never found that baby.
Just a few feet away. And by the time they found it.
Yeah, it could have been it could have been, because the
dogs
baby was
amazing. They are amazing. They are amazing. And I've said it before. Of all the animals that we have domesticated over the thousands of years, since we crawled out of caves, or while we were still in the caves, only dogs read us and get us and feel us and sense us and understand us, and in many cases better than we do ourselves. In fact, my entire career has been in marketing, advertising, promotion, well over 10,000 campaigns in my career, from Fortune 100 all the way down to mom and pops. I tell you what, I would trade every focus group that I've ever paid $20,000 or $30,000 to have. All right, I would trade all of those. I would trade many of the tests to be able to have a dog that could look at one of my campaigns and tell me, is this going to be good or not? Because they just get us better than we get ourselves.
Oh, yeah. And, I just read a story here on AKC. It's about a dog. This dog's a Vizsla.
That's the American Kennel Club, right? That's their site?
American Kennel Club. Yeah.
Okay.
And give me a copy of the link there for you in the.
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I trust you, Jim.
I'll do it anyway because I'm such a nice guy.
You're part of my pack. I trust you.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. We are, as the old saying goes, we're brothers by different mothers. There you go. The link's there in the small chat or the private chat there, because I'd like to get a chance to look at a few things here. But Duke is a Vizsla. We know how dogs are trained, sniff out bombs, drugs, all that. Okay. Now this dog, Duke, is a Vizsla, is trained to sniff out peanuts. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
He's sniffing out peanuts in any form, often in minute quantities such as oil, dust, or butter. Duke alerts his owner to the presence of peanuts, by sitting firmly in front of her, blocking her from the offending allergen and refusing to bud. His owner says that Duke has saved her life every day because some people have a very severe allergy to peanuts. And this dog is trained to sniff that out.
Don't understand. People don't understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a child, I had over 250 allergies, and that were identified, and peanuts and peanut butter and things like that. Those are life-endangering allergies for people.
Yeah, yeah. Were you?
Thank God.
Yeah. Were you allergic to peanuts as a kid?
I was allergic to peanuts. I was allergic to cat hair, to animal dander, to a whole massive number of tree saps and pollens and
bless your heart.
Over 250 things that I was identified as being allergic to, but I am now, thank the good Lord, as far as I know, not allergic in any kind of a life-endangering way to anything. I still put down penicillin, but I've never had penicillin, so I really don't know. And penicillin doesn't do very much anymore anyway, so I'm in pretty good stead there.
Well, also penicillin, I took that as a kid when I was about 10 because I had double pneumonia. And
had that a couple of times as a kid, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
that's no fun.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I remember every other day for 2 weeks, I had to go up to the neighbor's house. We lived out in the country. She was a nurse, and she would actually inject me with a shot of penicillin because that's the way it was done in those days. And it's kind of like when I was 4 years old, my brother was 12, and he had to have his tonsils taken out. So it was such a popular thing. It's kind of funny. You see things on the news where they start taking out stuff. A lot of
university educations for doctors' kids, just like hysterectomies did.
Oh yeah. And I remember
it seemed like things, mine, by the way.
Yeah, it seemed like things go in cycles like that. It seems like it's popular to take out kids' tonsils. So my brother, he got some type of they determined that, hey, his problem is he needs to get his tonsils out. And so it's so popular. So me and him went in on the buddy plan. We both got our tonsils taken out at the same time, and there wasn't anything wrong with mine, So anyway, that's just the way
I don't want you as a buddy for that.
Yeah, I hear you. That's just the way our world turned in those days.
Yeah.
But
and to be sure, an awful lot of the things they were doing were preventative, and they were doing the very best they could with what they had. I had an older brother. He was 7 years older than me. Died of pneumonia. There was a pneumonia epidemic around 1950, 51. And it was kept pretty much secret. They just didn't have the treatment. They didn't have the ability. They didn't have the things that they needed at the time. And we sometimes forget how far we've come.
Oh, yeah.
My wife has been a lifetime diabetic for over 60 years. And back when she was diagnosed, man-made insulin was just a few years old. And they didn't have any blood tests. They didn't have blood tests until 1980s, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so.
They had P-test, and that was about it. But we don't recognize how far we've come. But here's the thing. If you had a dog 50 years ago, and you had a kid that had low blood sugar, the dog would have known.
Yeah.
The dog could have wakened the kid up. The dog would have licked them and nuzzled them until they got up. And they would have saved their life.
Yeah. Hey, Emerson, I got an idea. What do you think about us sending dogs to medical school?
I'm okay with it. I've often said a lot of Western, not all, A lot of Western medicine is about cut, poison, and burn. Dogs aren't about that. They're about nuzzling and loving and being alert.
Oh yeah. And that was just a joke about dogs going to medical school. I know you know that, but it's just amazing how
I've got to kind of play off of it the way that they come at me. You know, I say, you keep a throwing them, and I ain't a catching them. I keep a trying though.
I hear you. I hear you. Did you open up that link for the AKC on the dog shit or not?
I haven't. I have, yes.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I'm going to read that story right above it. I'm gonna read that story above about the heroics of Paris, who's a boxer in Cornwall, England. Now, what he does is very unique, and the reason why I made this list was that he's not a hero dog, but this little dog does her part just the same. Whenever this little dog, Paris, goes on a walk, Paris picks up cans and plastic bottles and deposits them in the closest recycling bin that she can find.
Listen to that.
And no one trained her for this task. It just comes natural. And she's doing her part to save the environment. I mean, that just blows my mind there. It really does. Who would think a dog would be picking up a can and putting it in a recycling bin, you know? And I want you to look at that next story coming up about that bear and all that. Did you see that one there?
Oh, the Yorkshire Terrier. Now,
I'm gonna let you share that one there, brother.
Those terriers, they're serious. They may be small.
Yeah.
They may be small, but they are serious.
Oh, yes, they are. They got more guts than a big dog sometimes. They really do. And I've always been amazed at how little dogs are. They're the first ones. They're kind of like the burglar.
Oh, they rush into the breach.
Oh yeah, they sure do. Yeah, they want to, hey, we got a problem here. Let's straighten this out right now.
We have had a number of Rottweilers, and our neighbor's got a Jack Russell, which is another small dog.
Terrier,
it's right in the terrier family. And I remember well taking Sadie was her name, and we were out for a walk, and they came out with their Jack Russell, and holy Toledo, Sadie just wanted to be buddies, Sadie. Now, they're dogs that are identified in people's minds as these vicious breeds and everything else. In my experience, blame the owners, not the dog. Because we've had 3 different Rottweilers, and they are the biggest slum muffins in the world. So Sadie just wanted to sniff and play in her little stub with wagon and having fun. And I tell you what, this dog Chili just absolutely lit into her like nobody's business. But they're trained. They have been bred, trained for hundreds of years.
Yeah, to be on the attack.
That's what they are.
Yeah. It's like a lot of people, and I realize pit bulls can be aggressive. I realize that. But again, blame the owners, not the dogs, because a lot of people don't realize that on the little kids show, you might remember this growing up. I was a kid too. The Little Rascals. What was Petey?
Yeah.
What was Petey with a circle around his eye?
With a circle around the eye. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know what kind of a dog Petey was, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. He was a pit bull. He sure was. Yeah.
Or close to it, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was a pit bull. No doubt about it. And because I've known people have pit bulls, and they say, pit bulls get a bad rap because, the people who are irresponsible dog owners or something like that.
People feed them. They treat them up.
Yeah. They want to have a guard dog and make it. You don't need to make a guard. You don't need to make a dog
make them mean.
No.
We need to give licenses and tags and collars to the owners in many cases.
Yeah. And make sure they have their distemper shot, as I said the other day. But my point being is that
put them in their little cage. Let them sleep there overnight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm all for that. Well, I bet the dog who's a mayor will vote for that Duke, that Great Pyrenees.
There you go.
But make no mistake about it. If a dog senses you are in trouble as far as to your health or something of that nature,
Any
or if
danger,
you're anything like that, that dog is going to come to your rescue.
They're
That's
going to
in
be
their
obnoxious.
DNA.
They're going to bark. They're going to whine. They're going to
Mhm.
paw. They're going to pull. They're going to be doing all
Yeah.
of the things
They
that
will
you
get
want
between
to
you and
do.
the danger.
Yep.
They will get between you and the danger. And now
learn to listen to your dog.
Yeah. And now we've set the stage for that little Yorkshire Terrier. Mr. Emerson, would you be so kind as to share this shocking story with us?
Oh, it says if you were in a fight and you had a bear coming at you and you had a little Yorkie now, Yorkshire Terrier, if who would you bet on to win?
That's 100-pound black bear, right?
Oh, 100 at least.
Yeah.
It says here, Deborah Epstein left the front door open one evening, and Joe, her Yorkie, started barking more furiously than usual. She turned around to see a black bear lumbering towards Joe's food bowl. Don't do that. Don't do that, Mr. Bear, if you know what's good for you.
Yeah.
6 pounds. Now, a bag of sugar is about what, Jim?
5 pounds normally.
5 pounds. So this little 6-pound terrier he barked, lunged, nipped at the bear until it turned tail and ran out the door. He didn't just defend his food; he defended his pack.
Oh yeah, I love that because usually a bear, he shows up in the woods and he'll sniff around, he'll look around, he'll determine, okay, who's what. I'm a big bad bear, or
and I think 100 pounds is probably a shy estimate on that bear.
Yeah, because those are big boys. Yeah, and for something like that, I mean, coming at him, nipping at him and barking at him and just raising all kind of chaos. You're kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. I'm out of here.
I'm going to go find me some honeybees or something. All they can do is zip around and sting me a little bit. The dog gets some honey.
Yeah, because that little dog, I tell you right now, he was all over him. Oh,
and that's what they're bred to do. That's what they're ingrained to do. That's what we have taken traits that they had, and we have over the years crossbred and bred to make them what they are. And I'm not saying that all of that is right. This isn't about whether we think it's right or not. These are the facts of who they are.
Right.
And we have to accept that breed, that's part of who they are. Now, in this particular case, that breed, this tiny little terrier, size of a bag of sugar, a little bit more, let's give it a little credit, tore into a bear 20 times larger than it was.
Oh, yeah.
Without hesitation, Jim.
Yeah.
Without hesitation.
How dare you
protect its pack?
Yeah. How dare you come into my house, going to try to eat my food and harm my family? This is war, boy.
This is it. Yeah. This is 0 to 60. There is nothing in between. You're 0, you're 60. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I get a kick out of that. I just get a kick out of these. And tomorrow we're going to be covering some more good stories about animals and the dogs especially, but there's one last story on that one there. Now I'd like for you to read that because that is amazing.
Oh, the woman eating the apple pie?
Yeah.
Well, she got a piece stuck in her throat. Now, lots of schools, lots of training has existed for quite a few years now on doing if somebody was choking or whatever, the proper methods to dislodge it, to help them and everything else. But the dog definitely didn't have any of this. But she began beating on her chest, trying to get this piece of apple pop out, but she couldn't. And that's a scary thing if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
To not be able to breathe.
That's very scary.
And to have something stuck you can't get out, and not to have anybody around with any training or any knowledge or any
help,
nothing around you.
Yeah.
But her golden retriever, Toby jumped up, putting his paws on her shoulder, knocked her to the floor, jumped up and down on her chest until he dislodged the chunk of apple. And then he licked her face to keep her from losing consciousness. And they say here, but I think we know better, Jim. It's a mystery how Toby figured out this modified Heimlich maneuver, but he won a Dog of the Year award for his heroics.
Whoa.
Dogs sense things. They know us better than we know ourselves.
Yes, yes.
And they are not just pets. When we bring them into our life, they are part of our pack, and they are sworn to allegiance to protect and do everything they can to protect us as their pack and to be there for us.
Oh, yeah.
And these are great examples.
Yes. They really, truly are. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there watching some TV land, regardless where you're seeing us at, whether you're in overseas in India or, you know, Pakistan or, you know, over in the Orient, wherever, because we're international. And thank you so much for tuning in. Our numbers continue to grow. We appreciate it. But my point being, if you have a special dog and this dog loves people, see if you could actually get permission from a local elderly place where they keep the elderly, and see if you can bring the dog in once a week just to visit with the residents. Because
goodness,
that dog will automatically know who needs love. And that dog, you don't have to worry about training. You don't have to worry about nothing. But
give them time with the people who do.
Yes, yes. And think what a blessing that would be to someone in one of those, because I've seen those people there and I feel sorry for them. We had to have my mother-in-law in respite when she broke her hip. And the poor people, my goodness gracious, I just, you know, it really gets to me. It still does, because they wheel them out there in a common area and set them, you know, they're out there in their wheelchairs or whatever. And they turn on the TV and they're like flower pots.
It's a good way to put it.
I hate to say that, but that's the way it struck me. And I says, I got to get, you know, it's my mother-in-law, but I said, I got to get mom out of here. You know, no. And, you know, she was with us. I was her daytime keeper most of the time because she was able to take care of most of her personal business. And Ellen would help her with other things. And I always made sure she had lunch on time at 3:00 in the afternoon. I'd take her an ice cream sandwich and she'd look at it, smile, and grab it. She was 92 when she died.
That's how old my mother-in-law. Well, actually, she was a month shy of 92.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that, haven't we?
And we were the same way as far as now she was in assisted care at the end. But yeah, she was mom.
Yeah.
She was mom.
Exactly.
And, you know, all of those things matter. My hope for everybody, you, me, everybody, is that when we're at that place, that there are people who are thinking the same way about us.
Yeah.
As far as the things that are really needed, the touch, feeling.
I always adored
relationships and things like that.
I always adored my mother-in-law. When I get around guys and they talk about our mother-in-laws, I say, guys, you got to deal me out. A few times in my life I've screwed up, but this is one I got a good one.
I've spoken all over the world on this, and I actually have a slide or two in my presentation. And one of the things that I say is, I've been surrounded by powerful women my whole life, and the very first one that I show is Lil.
Yeah,
is this amazing woman.
Oh yeah. Me and her, we got along. We liked each other the first time we saw each other. And Evelyn told me one time we were dating, she says, I think my mother likes you more than I do.
And said the same thing to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, I knew we had a lot in common, brother. Not only are we good looking, dynamic charm, and our personality is just off the chart.
If I was a dog, I'd be licking your face right now.
I'm glad you're not.
I'm glad I'm not too, Jim.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, one time we were in Bisbee, Arizona, the 4th of July. And this is right day before my son was born, because Ellen didn't feel like going up there to watch a Coast Races. And I got to tell this story real quick. We're almost out of time, but we go up there because Coastal Races start at 7:00, and they come down Tombstone Canyon. You can Google, Bisbee, Arizona, 4th of July, Coastal Races. You can see what we mean. It's a lot of fun. And so we're there, and Bisbee was such a laid back town in the early 70s. I mean, people were just nice people, I don't ever remember hearing a fight or fuss or anything like that. I'm sure it happened, but it wasn't prevalent or anything like that. And it was 9:00 in the morning, and we're standing there. We're talking to one of the police officers. We knew him, and there was a cart over there, full of ice and beer and all that. And my mother-in-law looked at me. It's 9:00 in the morning. We ain't even had breakfast yet. She says, "Would you like a beer?" And I said, "Why didn't I think of that? You're such a smart lady." And we're drinking a beer at 9:00 in the morning, standing there talking to the local police officer.
Breakfast for champions, Jim.
Yeah. I tell you, when you're young and you're dumb and you're good looking, you just, you take stupid sometimes to a new level. No, but
and 1 out of 3 ain't bad,
I hear you. And there's no such thing as a beer. We know that. But that's as far as I'm going to say. Anyway,
it's just how much you separate it into separate containers. That's all.
There you go. Yeah, we drank our brunch that day. We had a liquid brunch, and a good time was had by all.
A good time was had by all. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, that's where Evelyn and her dad were, and we went back there, and of course everything was cool and fine. We stayed home the rest of the day, and Evelyn started having back pains or started having pains. She said, "It's time." So I got her in a car and took her to the hospital. My son was born the next day. So all in all, I just share that little quick story because it just gives you a clear snapshot of the rapport I had with her. And I'll always miss her. And I had the privilege and the honor of taking her from Tucson to bring her home to live in our house after her husband died. She had suffered her second stroke because there was no way I was going to put her in a home because it wasn't even on the horizon. And that's one thing that I'm proud of, not puffed up proud, but I'm proud of because when it's the right thing to do, ladies and gentlemen, it's the only thing to do.
And here for the folks in the audience,
mm-hmm.
If you're not able to,
mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Yes.
But every chance you get to visit and be there and just share with them and still be present for them, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do it. You may not be able to take care of an elderly parent, but
right.
You can definitely take the time out of your busy, important schedule
to show that you care.
To show that you care. And I tell you what, the people who are taking care of them in facilities where they need to have assisted care, they know the people who come and they know the families who don't. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yes, it does. They watch the loved ones of the people who come because those people come every day. They can see what's going on. And you're right.
And this isn't about fear. And this is just about, they'll tell you, say, I know you come here every day. We're doing what we can. We talk to them. You get to see them doing it, but they want you to know that you care. And they care too. Right. They want you to know they care too.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're definitely out of time. It's almost 4 o'clock, and we're going to get cut off here. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today. We sincerely hope you enjoy the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Donna and I will. We're going to be wrapping up the week on dogs, and we're just so thankful you tuned in. We hope that you have a blessed evening or day. Whenever you have a chance to see this, you take care of yourself. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Take care.